careful, please. That elite was an ultra.
As we make the transition from Mormons, pioneers, to disciples of Christ, as we transition from Latter-day Saints to faithful disciples of Christ, we are faced with a grave danger, and that is the danger of the word Mormon becoming a slur, wherewith the most righteous among us, the most disciplist of Christist members of the church, may look down upon other members of the church and call them with derision Mormons. This is already occurring. I watched this fireside by this guy named Keith Erekson, who has a high leadership position in the church. It is not a position that he was called to. He is merely an employee, but he is like the head of the Department of Church History, or the library, Church History Library, something like that. And this guy, he's a little bit of a fruitcake. He strikes me as a little bit light in the loafers. I don't like him, okay? He just has a very scathing tone. His arguments seem like they come from someone who wasn't a member of the church and who was defending some God-given human rights, such as like gay marriage, which was guaranteed in the Constitution by our founding fathers. He sounds like a real American patriot defending gay marriage when he talks about church history. You know, he says, oh, people keep asking questions about polygamy, and you just need to stop worrying about other people's sex lives. Huh? What? Some weird stuff there, you know. We need to stop thinking black and white, good and evil. We need to stop thinking in binaries, because that's just not the way the world works. You know, some people want to assign binaries and good and evil to every binary with man and woman. You know, man is good, women is bad, and that's why my daughters don't receive as much wages as their male counterparts for doing the exact same work. Huh? What? Is that still a talking point? I thought that was debunked. Do you have your daughter's coworkers' pay stubs? Did you look at their resume? Absolutely ridiculous claims here. And perhaps the most egregious thing that he said is he was talking about a Mormon couple who came into his office. And throughout this whole thing, he refers to himself as a disciple of Christ. But as soon as he started referring to these members of his own faith, you know, members of our faith, and he says, you know, this couple came into my office, and the man, he walked through the door first because they're Mormon. He spoke first because they're Mormon. And he just said, oh, my wife doesn't understand polygamy. Please fix her. And he was just a big, ugly Mormon. Such a cruel Mormon heart. The way he was using the word Mormon was in this derogatory way, and it was literally a synonym for misogynist. So, if you are a Mormon, you are a misogynist. That seems to be the perspective of this Keith Erekson guy, and I hate to break it to you, but the gospel is patriarchal. It just is. Heavenly Mother, we love her, but Heavenly Father's the one calling the shots. You know, they certainly aren't getting the same pay for the same job. One, because that's not how that works. But two, they're different classes of beings with a different role. We gotta stop thinking like this. This is lame, okay? No one wants to be in a church where the standard apologetic response is, well, you shouldn't be worrying about Joseph Smith's sex life. You know, what happened in the Grove has nothing to do with what happened in his bedroom, okay? And then they Z-snap you. Yeah, I think I'm done. You know, I think I might just tap out on Mormonism. Let's pack up here. I have been defeated. Decades of trying to understand the gospel and the Book of Mormon and continually strengthen my testimony is all down the drain because I have not prepared enough lamp oil for these kinds of apologetics from people who work for the church. So, I don't know. Maybe that's because I'm a Mormon. Maybe that's because I haven't opened my mind to the diverse, many shades, you know. Sin is non-binary. There are diverse ways of sinning. Too many to count. I haven't opened my mind to all of those ways, but maybe if I listen to Keith Erekson a little bit more, maybe I'll get there, you know. And Keith Erekson, he's a smart guy. He needs to stop wearing a sweater. He needs to stop talking about his wife and his daughters and all that stuff. In this fireside, I feel like he does a pretty good job of defending the Book of Abraham. But man, the polygamy stuff, it is rough to get through. Anyway, what's the true name of the church? It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. aka the Mormon Church. What's the true name of the priesthood? It's the holy order of the priesthood after the order of the Son of God, or the Son of Man. That's the true name of the priesthood, but the DNC says that in order to avoid vain repetitions or overusing the name of God, of this sacred name, we've named it after a holy prophet, Melchizedek. And this is to honor the name of God. It's not something that we should be repeating all the time. That doesn't seem to apply to the name of the church. Now, I do like the idea of emphasizing us as Christians, as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because I think a lot of enemies of Christianity historically have seen us as allies, because Christians saying we aren't Christian is a much louder, bullhorn loudspeaker in their ears than us insisting that we are. And so they say, the Mormons are enemies of Christianity. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And this is how we've made friends with all these Senator Joe Liebermans and many other undesirable people, is because they see themselves as an enemy of Christianity, and Christianity sees us as their enemy, and so they naturally want to ally themselves with us. And so by emphasizing the true name of the church, I think that this will scare off a lot of these people, which is a good thing. But at the same time, it is a bit inconsistent, because we don't use the true name of the priesthood, and there's nothing wrong with the name Mormon. Mormon, like Melchizedek, is a prophet, and he is a great prophet. He is the greatest prophet of the Book of Mormon. He is the one who compiled it all. Everything in the Book of Mormon is given us through the lens of Mormon, with the exception of perhaps some of Nephi's words at the beginning, and maybe Moroni's words at the end. But Mormon is the guy who included Nephi's words, and he's also the guy who taught his son Moroni, and even named him after his favorite character in the history of the Nephites, Chief Commander Moroni. So Mormon's a pretty important guy. He's a pretty awesome guy. We're told that Mormon means more good. It's connected to the idea of the waters of Mormon, baptism, a people of the covenant, and these are all good things. There's nothing wrong or unusual with the people of God naming themselves after a prophet. We are the Mormon people. The Nephites were the people of Nephi. The Israelites, they named themselves after Israel, which is not a country, but the name of their patriarch. And so that's just a thought that we are entering Rammy-umptum territory. Holy, holy God, we're grateful that we are disciples of Christ, and we're grateful that we are not Mormons, because Mormons are misogynists, and I'm so glad that I'm so much holier than them. Thank you, amen. That's the territory that we're getting into. That's what Keith Erekson needs to avoid. Myself, what I need to work on is I need to work on not being a holy, holy God. Thank you for making me a based Mormon, and I'm so glad I'm not a Mormie. I'm not a normie Mormon. Thank you for making me awesome and them dumb. I have to guard myself from that mentality. This is something that creeps in every generation. This is the pride cycle. We're in it. You best start believing in the pride cycle. You're in it. We're certainly on the downward trend. I think that emphasizing our name as Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is only useful inasmuch as it prevents us from allying with the enemies of Christianity. Inasmuch as it is a barrier for that, it is a good thing, but if it creates this kind of tension between more old-fashioned, reluctant Mormons who won't get with the program, who won't be super excited about all these changes, we replaced perfectly good explanations with I don't know-isms. I like saying I don't know. Saying I don't know is useful inasmuch as it leads you to seeking for an answer, for knocking, for seeking, but I don't know-isms are satanic when they are the end in of themselves. And so, I don't know, it's the means, and it's only justified if the ends is not I don't know. If it's I don't know, I'm waiting for an answer, that's okay. I'm looking, I'm searching for an answer. But if it's, well, we had an answer, but it's more comfortable to say I don't know, we just don't know, this is a problem. Those are my thoughts. The term Mormon is becoming a slur. Watch yourself and watch how you treat other members of your faith. We are told that we are not to be guilty of evil speaking of the Lord's anointed. And this is frequently thought as don't badmouth the prophet. I think it goes far beyond that, because we have all been washed and anointed. Every endowed member of the church has been washed and anointed, And so let's try not to use or invent derogatory terms for one another. I think that we need to hold to the truth, and we need people who are committed. Be committed. And so if you're going to criticize someone, criticize them for not being committed to Joseph Smith, committed to Mormon, committed to Jesus Christ, or any other aspect of the gospel. We have to be fully committed to all of it. And so those are my thoughts on that. Hopefully that is eye-opening or gives you something to think about. Be nice to one another. I think it's important to be nice and to try and lift up one another. And don't think yourself better than other people for the blessings you've received. And at the same time, don't think less of yourself if you don't have some of the same blessings as other people, because I think a lot of these people who have big houses above the smog line with their pesticide company and their powders and supplement companies, I think that they're going to be held accountable for not consecrating their belongings. And so if you have less to give, maybe that's a good thing, because then you can just give your time. You don't have to worry with parting with all your snowmobiles, snowblower, what's it called? Snowmoblowers, yeah. Your snowmoblowers, that's what it is. Have a good one.